Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello, whatever time it is with you and wherever you are. Thank you for downloading this SmackDown review as part of the WWE podcast. As always, it's an absolute pleasure to have you listening along once again. I am Amanda, your host of this SmackDown review. And as the world continues to go absolutely crazy, let's not talk about it. Let's immerse ourselves in a kayfabe world and review the SmackDown that aired on March 13th from Phoenix, Arizona. And we kick off tonight with a recap of last week's most awesome title switch back to Cody. Now, I guess the same as you having to be careful in an echo chamber in normal life, this week on my socials and podcasts and stuff I listen to and read, I haven't heard anyone who's particularly mad about Cody being champ and headed to Mania. The consensus, as far as I can tell, is that Drew has been nothing more than a transitional champ, but as I said, I might be just living in my own echo chamber. And now we've got Mania only 36 days away, which is very cool. We get our arrivals tonight. We've got Cody with Jelly Roll. Randy is also here and they are going to sign the contract later on. We go to Nick, who's backstage reading the contract, not just to himself, but moving his lips as he reads, which is a touch embarrassing. Nick is interrupted by Drew, who tells him he can take the contract and shove it up his arse. He makes his way to ringside and says that last week the title was stolen from him. He says Nick couldn't help himself. He had to make sure that Golden Boy got his title match before Mania. He calls Nick out and tells him to make things right. Nick comes out and tells Drew there's nothing to make right. Part of being the champ is defending the championship. In a fair one-on-one contest, Nick says, in which you headbutted a referee and still couldn't get the win, but here you are out here playing the victim again. He says you should be looking at the consequences of your own actions. Drew says, what about Fatu getting involved? Drew says that you're a corporate stooge and you had to make sure that Cody got his belt back. Nick takes exception to this and tells Drew, don't you dare call me that, you know who I am, you know where I came from. Nick tells him you screwed Cody out of his shot at both Rumble and Chamber, and this is all really rich coming from a guy who claims to keep getting screwed. Nick says that you did everything you could to prevent Cody getting a fair shot, and now we know why, because as soon as he did get a fair shot one-on-one, he beat you. Drew says you know it and I know it, this is bullshit. Drew says, make it right or else. We then get Jacob Fatu's music hit, and unsurprisingly, he comes out to an absolutely massive pop. He's on the mic. He says, fix what? He says, you wouldn't even be champ if it wasn't for me. He says, let's state facts. I fixed the situation last week, so Drew is no longer champ. He says, it isn't about Nick or Cody or anybody else. He says, you pointing fingers, blaming the ref. He says, let's keep it 100. I am the one who screwed you. And he says, what the hell are you going to do about it? Drew says, you know what I'm going to do about it? He says, all of you, I'm done with you all. I quit. And he flounces off like a right big girl's blouse. Comms feigning surprise. Wade says it looks like a broken Drew, and for now Drew is out. Well, quite a short opening segment this week. If you account for the time we went to the recap of last week, we're probably around the 7 or 8 minute mark. For me, I'm pleased to see Nick come out and shut Drew right down. If he hadn't have quit, I would have been mad that he didn't get any repercussions for downing the ref last week in any way. Nice that Fatu came out and told it to him straight. Now, just a second though, I feel like we've had this Drew quitting angle before. Wasn't it when he left Raw? I'm pretty sure we've exactly been here before, and are we to believe Drew disappears for a while and shows back up on Raw? Can't believe we're not going to get a Fatu Drew match at some point. Of course, it's possible that we don't. This is an interesting angle. I guess we need to see how it plays out. For me, I'm happy Drew is seemingly out of the title picture. I think Cody Randy will be an A+++++ match, and then factor in possibly Sammy going a bit crazy in the meantime. That side of things in terms of the story is all shaping up nicely. I don't know how much more mileage they can squeeze out of Drew getting screwed angle. We've been at it for what feels like a couple of years now. We started with Punk thing and then Priest, so it's been a while. Maybe it's time for a Drew character refresh now, or perhaps they keep going with it. But hopefully on Raw, as you know, I'm no fan of Drew's character, not the guy himself, just his character. So I guess let's see if the contract signing is interrupted in any way, what happens, etc. But for me, I wouldn't be mad at all if we got to Mania with a straight up Cody Randy match for one of the main events. We've got our arrivals, and we've got Flair and Bliss. They're going to fight Nia and Lash for the tag titles later. And we've got Miz TV. No, they haven't retired that. That is still around like a big stinky turd that it is. So Miz TV, and it's got Jelly Roll on. Traditionally, they use Miz TV to set up new angles, so let's see where we go with that. We go backstage to Solo, who's with the MFTs. He's telling them that the plan went perfect last week. Wyatt 6 are still not number one contenders, and the MFTs still have the lamp, which apparently is of great importance. He says the job isn't done though, as him and Talatonga have to take care of Rowan and Howdy tonight. He tells Tamatonga he's got to guard the lamp with his life, and remember, without it, the Wyatts are nothing. He's left alone, and then we get Shinsuke approach him, and he says, when will you decide to be your own man? Solo pops back up and tells him to stay away from his family or get hurt. Now that's interesting. Are we being positioned to believe that Tamatonga might be the weak link in the MFTs and that he might be the one to step out on his own? I would definitely be okay with that, and a very nice use of Shinsuke too. We now have that match coming up with Howdy and Rowan versus Solo and Talatonga, a non-title, non-lamp match. Before the match, we've got Fatu though with Nick telling him he doesn't know what to tell him. He quit. We then get Trick interrupting, and Fatu is not happy with that at all. Nick tries to calm it down, and Fatu says he isn't being disrespected and leaves. Trick tells Nick to do his job, and Nick says, okay, tonight we're going to have Trick versus Fatu. Trick starts to kick off and complain that isn't what he meant. Nick tells him to get on with it. I hope we get Trick absolutely fed to Fatu, or are we going to get Drew back to show off like a mad toddler? Let's see. We've now got this tag match coming up, and it kicks off with Rowan and Talas starting. The two big guys, we get some strength test to start things off, and these two are absolutely massive, no doubt. Early on, though, we do have Tala getting the upper hand as Solo tags in and is quickly floored by Rowan and gets the tag to Howdy. Rowan back in with Tala, gets a close cover. Solo with a blind tag, gets himself absolutely battered. Solo hits the spike and looks to have it won, but Rowan breaks things up. Two big guys take each other out at ringside, and during all this, Nikki manages to grab the lamp at ringside, which causes a distraction, allowing Howdy to hit Sister Abigail and take the win. And it looks briefly like finally the Wyatts have the lamp back, but no, Tamatonga gets it back, and the MFTs still have possession of the lamp. Unbelievably, this angle continues. Feels like creative are absolutely rinsing this for all it's worth, and them some. Come on now. However, the Wyatts did get the win over MFTs, which should put them up there in terms of a possible future title shot. Maybe we don't see Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis. Perhaps we see the team of Rowan and Howdy, which will be something a bit different. We go backstage where we've got the current odd couple of WWE with Truth and Priest. Truth is told by Priest they'll be very hard to beat. Truth says the Judgment Day look different. They get approached by Los Garzas, who tells them the only reason they're number one contenders is because they did all the heavy lifting. Priest says they look pretty fresh tonight, so let's have a match. Okay, so I guess that's to cement the partnership of Priest and Truth, and that's okay by me. Next out, we get Jade, our quote-unquote champion, to near silence. She's facing Meechin, and this is a non-title match. Seriously, have you ever heard a WWE champ get less of a reaction? I mean, there's no heat with Jade. It's just nothing. They have to get that belt off her ASAP. This is a failed experiment. We get a replay of the beef between these two, which dates back to December and firmly places the WWE title on the mid-card. We get Meechin in and attacking Jade from behind before the bell goes, and Meechin is flying comms. making a huge deal here out of the fact that Jade intentionally injured Michin and put her out for 3 months. As I said, Michin off to a flyer, and Jade does not seem very interested in this fight at all. Michin almost getting the win, but Jade manages to roll out of the ring. But oh my god, the crowd just seem pretty much silent here. This one finishes off as Jade hits Jade and gets the win. Joe Test says Jade making a statement. Hardly, Joe, hardly. As the announcer calls the victory, we have again near silence. Kathy's got Jade in the ring, again near silence. She grabs the mic. She says, "Did you see that? That's what happens when you believe your own hype." Pot, meet, kettle. The irony totally lost on Jade here. She says all the wrestlers backstage know when they see her, they get really quiet. I think that's just because they don't like her. She says the world tells her she should be scared of one woman, Rhea Ripley. And that's the biggest reaction Jade got all night when she mentioned Rhea's name. She said she should be scared of who she is because she's her. She says that she doesn't see a threat or challenger. She isn't scared of anyone. She tells Rhea she's going to beat her ass and show her why she's always on top. We then get Rhea's music, and then that's a pop. She makes her way to the ring. Jade rolls out to massive boos. She won't face Rhea. Rhea says, "You are running your mouth, but now you run from a fight with me." She says you aren't the embodiment of female empowerment, and she says to her that after Mania, "You'll be my bitch." No doubt Rhea completely saved the segment there. The actual match between Michin and Jade was fine. They seem intent on feeding Michin to Jade. Jade's promo after was also fine. Nothing special. Rhea coming out gave it everything it needed. In my opinion, I think it's really obvious why they had to change plans and bring over Rhea to carry this feud. Otherwise, it would be absolutely dire. There is no one else who is good enough to make Jade's promos and in-ring ability look good enough to be worthy of a Mania spot for me, so thank God for Rhea here. We go backstage now to Nick. He's on the phone. Seems to be looking for Drew as Cody approaches and asks what's going on. Nick says he doesn't know, but as far as he's concerned, he just needs to focus on the contract signing. We then get Sammy in again. He says he doesn't want this to turn into a thing. He says, "Congratulations, you're walking into Mania as champ," and he's rooting for him. Cody says he doesn't want to make it a thing either, but he does know that he says the exact same thing to Randy. He asks what he's playing at, and is he angling for a title match. He tells Sammy that he does deserve the shot, and Sammy says he can't believe he would think so lowly of him. He says he said it to Randy because he's one of one. He says he looks up to Randy and he doesn't look up to Cody because they are friends and friends are supposed to be equal. Sammy says he doesn't get to look down on Cody. On him, Cody says he does look up to Sammy. He admires him. This is all a bit weird. I can't figure out exactly what the end game is here, but we do get another appearance then from Zelina and Black. Honestly, if I was Sammy, I would lamp the pair of them. They're very irritating. He's having some kind of crisis here, and these two are just hanging around, just being top drawer weirdos. Black says, "All this chasing the title, do you ever think maybe it's not meant for you?" And Sammy tells Black to do one, basically. Next up, we've got Lash and Nia versus Flair and Bliss. I so want to see Bliss and Flair get these titles back, but I fear we will get Nia and Lash retaining. Get the challenges out to a good reaction, and then for some reason the bloody Bellas. Wade says, "Talking of depth in the women's tag division, go home, Wade, you drunk, you idiot. These two are awful." They got the mics, and I forgot they're from Phoenix, aren't they? Even so, they didn't get a massive pop. Nikki says no matter who wins and ends up as champions, we're next in line for the women's titles, and we'll be sitting at ringside. Wow. Just wow. This one kicks off with a double team from Nia and Lash, getting themselves the upper hand, and thankfully Bliss and Flair mounting a strong fight back, taking out the irresistible forces. Flair manages to evade the Annihilator, going up top to hit the moonsault and getting herself a 2 count, only Lash saving the day. The Bellas getting themselves involved at ringside. Flair hits Natural Selection, and just as Bliss is about to hit Twisted Bliss, we get a bloody Bella, don't even know which one it was, interfering, forcing the DQ finish, and that's annoying. We get afters with Nia and Lash beating down the Bellas, so not all bad. I guess we could be shaping up here for a 3-way, maybe for Mania. Match-wise, Lash is obviously doing all the heavy lifting in the ring, and as long as she is stopping Nia from hurting other people for real, then that's okay with me. Pleased to see that Flair and Bliss will be continuing, maybe hopefully all the way to Mania at this point, with a title match there. I don't give any hoots about the Bellas. They were shit in the day, and now they look so out of place on this roster. The women's division has thankfully evolved, and this is a Legends run I don't think we need to see. We go straight backstage. We've got Truth speaking to Jelly Roll, saying someone is shifty. Jelly spots Randy and congratulates him, going for number 15. Jelly tells Randy he's on Miz TV tonight, and does he have any advice? Randy tells him to drop the Miz if he starts chopsing off. And do we have this year's celeb match at Mania? I wouldn't hate that at all. Next out in the ring, we've got Truth and Priest versus Los Garzas. This one kicks off with Priest and Truth looking strong. They look good together as a team. Certainly does work. Los Garzas, as always, with some very lovely tag team moves, making a good account of themselves, but Priest making his quality show out of the 4 men in the ring here. We get the double finish again with the attitude adjustment and South of Heaven, with Truth and Priest getting the win. I don't hate this at all. It's a fun thing, and I have to say I like it. We go backstage now. We've got Candice and Johnny. Johnny is still doing his laying down thing. Alex Shelley is trying to bring him round out of his funk by telling him how great he is. Chris Sabin comes in and tells Alex Shelley off for wasting his time with Johnny. Alex tells him to get over it. There's a lot of history. Sabin says he's got a match next week with Fraxium, and Alex Shelley basically needs to prove himself. It does feel like we are starting to shape up for some kind of Motor City Machine Gun turns, one of them turning on each other and eventually splitting the team, which I think would be a massive shame. I mean, if only we could trust the WWE creative had a great plan for them, should they decide to split them, but I don't think we can. We then get Danhausen, who, by the way, I am still not having. I don't care what anyone says. He approaches The Miz and says as his mentor he wants him to wear his new shirt tonight. Danhausen says he wants to have his own TV show to replace Miz TV. Please, God, no. Then we get a trailer for Raw, and it looks like we've got Brock returning this week on Raw with some kind of open challenge for WrestleMania. Don't know who we're going to get there. Possibly Gunther or someone like that. I literally have no idea. But it will be interesting because Heyman is written off TV at the moment because of getting stomped last week. So it's unlikely that Heyman will be there as his mouthpiece. And how do we think that will play out? Because obsessed with Drew, Brock does not have a great promo. So let's see how that plays out. Now we've got Miz TV, which does not have the same pop it once did. He brings out Jelly Roll, talks about Cody and Randy main event in Mania. He tells Miz he wouldn't miss the contract signing tonight. Miz says that he sees his potential and all he needs is a mentor, and here we go again. And he goes on about his master program, and he tells Jelly Roll just say yes. He says no. Thankfully, he says he loves him, but he has got the history of stabbing his partners in the back. Miz tells Jelly Roll he's a great redemption story, but no one talks about the person behind it, and that's Miz. He says when he was too fat to get up, it was him that helped him. Jelly Roll tells him, are you that delusional that he lost 200 pounds and he wants to take all the credit for it? Jelly tells him, fat or skinny, I will whip your ass. Miz tells him that he's locker room leader, and Jelly says, you're no locker room leader, you're a locker room loser. They're interrupted by Kit Wilson, who seems pretty over, which seems to have come pretty much from nowhere. He tells Miz to stop wasting his time. He says the problem isn't Miz being a mentor, it's Jelly. Jelly says he likes Kit. This is all getting a bit weird. Kit says it's building a brand on bad behaviour. Then we get Jelly mocking him. Kit says you want to be cheered like a hero for losing weight, but Jelly's not a hero, he's a fat phobic. He says you don't inspire people, you promote an unhealthy standard. He calls him toxic and they go head to head. Miz gets involved, tries to stop it. Jelly faces up to Kit and Kit legs it out the ring. So this is obviously going somewhere, but where do we think? A weird segment that's clearly headed to something. We then get Ilya backstage saying what a great punch it was from Jelly. Mello comes along and he tells Ilya that he gets him. Ilya says he's stuck between total confidence and no confidence. This is how he lives. He says you don't know peace. Mello tells Ilya to lock in. Ilya says that he can't fight Mello without fighting himself, and this is all getting very weird now with these two. I really, really don't get it. We've got Tiffy about to cut a promo on Julia when we get Chelsea Green rolling in from behind her to tell her off. Tiffy grabs her and pushes the wheelchair away, and it just goes flying off down the corridor, and she just carries on with the promo, telling Julia that once she beats Kiana tonight, she's coming for her championship. Guys, Chelsea Green is pure genius. I love, love, love her, and once she's back fit and healthy, I hope that she gets all the title shots. She's just awesome. What a great job she is doing. We've now got Tiffy versus Kiana, and this one kicks off, and we get Chelsea making her way to ringside with Alba Fire. Match continues. We get some shenanigans as Kiana kicks Julia in the face by accident, leading her to fly off the apron into Chelsea and Alba. This hands the win to Tiffy, taking it with the prettiest moonsault. I would love to see Julia versus Tiffy at Mania. That would be great. Tiffy with the belt would absolutely elevate it to where it needs to be. So I hope that we are locked in for that. Seems that randomly the Bellas speak and they get their way. They've got a title shot next week. So what's going to happen there? I predict another DQ finish. Keeping this storyline with these three tag teams running through to Mania potentially. Next up, we've got Trick versus Fatu. Sammy interrupts Trick's promo and tells him that all the big talk, how things going for you, you're running your mouth again, you can't back it up, and you're about to get your ass handed to you. Trick tells him if I didn't have a match, I would drop you right here, right now. Sammy says I am easy to find, so I'll see you around. So maybe we are setting up Sammy to face Trick. I would hope if we do, we get a Sammy win, but let's keep that one a close eye on. Fatu versus Trick is up now. I love watching Fatu fight, so this should be a good one. He's off to a flyer and hits a stunning move, which I'm not sure what it was, but it was like a flying Pele kick off the middle rope, which is absolutely awesome. Getting himself a close cover. Fatu in total charge now, hitting a wicked Samoan drop, getting another close cover. Then, surprise, surprise, we get Drew out, picking the bones behind the ref's back and allowing Trick to hit the trick shot and take the win, which is an absolute outrage, but more of an outrage is Drew. I mean, for God's sake, Nick, get hold of this big Scottish baby. Makes his way to the ring and carries on the beatdown of Fatu, and that is hugely unpopular with the crowd here in Arizona. Drew stands over him and does the thumbs down thing. So if Drew quit, surely that's just assault. Just saying, arrest him. We've now got Nick. He's back in the ring. He addresses Drew before we get to the contract signing. He tells him, I guess you didn't quit, so welcome back. And as a gift, you get Fatu one-on-one on next week's SmackDown. I really hope Fatu mullers him and completely rearranges him. Nick brings out Cody and Randy for the contract signing. Cody says that in 2007, when he came to WWE, his first match was against Randy. And he saw him then go on to win the Rumble and then main event Mania. He said he thought he could be like that. Then he left, and when he came back, he was all alone. But he had Randy. He says he's always proud to be his boy, and he signs the contract. Randy looks troubled. Randy says he doesn't think he understands. He says he needs this, he needs the title, but it wasn't supposed to be this way. It was meant to be Drew. That's how it was meant to be. It would be obviously much easier for him to fight Drew. Cody says, let me take the weight off your shoulders. He says he knows when the bell rings, he's going to get the legend killer. He gets the best Randy Orton. And he gets the master of the RKO. He says, but that's when the bell rings. He says, when the last bell rings, he will always love him. Randy signs and they shake hands. And then from nowhere, Cody gets his head put through the table and Randy starts beating down on Cody really bad, using the steps to knock him out. Nick tries to stop him and also gets floored. Cody is busted open and he's completely powerless. Randy set him up in the steel steps and Randy even then turns on Jelly Roll. Randy finally walks away and Jelly Roll is not a great actor as he's standing looking on over Cody's crumpled up body in the steps. It's actually quite funny. He's doing that thing out of The Simpsons where they all stand there with their faces covered. Anyway, so Randy finally walks away, but then he comes back through the crowd with a steel chair in hand and batters Cody against the steps. Now, Cody always bleeds very well. This last segment, it looked awesome. And Mania's main event just got a hell of a lot more interesting with a totally unhinged Randy. He went from 0 to completely unhinged in one segment, which you would think might be a little bit unbelievable, but I'm here for it. He completely lost his shit, and it was just a brilliant final segment, leaving Cody busted open, bleeding, looking completely dazed. Everyone's shocked. The crowd pretty much shocked into silence. We go off air with Randy sitting on a chair in the ring with the belt, and this suddenly got extremely good and more than interesting. I am much more into this than I was, and I was already pretty into it because I think it would have been a brilliant match. Going with an early prediction, I think we are going to see a Randy win at Mania as he gets his 15th title. Might be quite a short run, but still, I think that's what we are going to see. But it's very early to be making predictions. Let's see how this plays out over the next few weeks, and how, if at all, Sammy plays in, and how, if at all, Drew plays in. All in all, a decent show. Not quite as good as last week. Some of the angles are getting a bit tiresome. For example, Mello, Ilya, Sammy and Black, and Jade with anyone. But the show was decent and the build-up to Mania continues. We always get this. We're always worried about how Mania is going to shape up, and somehow WWE generally pull it out of the bag and we end up with 2 awesome nights of entertainment come Mania. I think it's going to be well worth keeping an eye on Raw this week to see how they work the Lesnar angle with no Heyman, as I said. And looking forward to next week's show. We've got the stupid Bellas versus the Nia and Lash. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I really hope Nia and Lash somehow manage to retain and we keep that story going. So lots of positives this week once again. So currently 2 for 2 in terms of good shows in the build-up to Mania. So that just about does it for this week's show. Thank you for having me in your ears once again. And remember, until next time, be kind.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.